check. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Zoom test kitchen. That is a bad lower third. I realized I missed something there, but glad to be back for sure. I need to turn off this echo in my ear and get that fixed. There we go, it fixes that. I feel so out of practice. It's been a while since I've been able to have the time to host the Zoom test kitchen, but it's good to be here for sure. Glad to have some of you here. I got still some roaming in. And is there, Peter, would you be willing to be a co-host and manage that waiting room for me?
No, sir. Absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
Let me open up the participant list so I can see what's going on.
There you go.
Yep. It's my first time back in a long time too, Jeff, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, I think this is like a reunion. I think that echo should go away now as well, but been a while since I've seen you, Peter. I think even longer than that is Kurt Wright, who's here with us. We say hi every once in a while online and so forth, but good to see you. I think it's just been a while, and people are getting been busy, not getting busy, but been busy. Laura, certainly glad to have you here today. We've got Michelle off camera and George as well. So welcome to everybody. And yeah, let's kind of kick things off and just talk about what's been keeping everybody busy. I know I kind of kick things off, and there's a lot of live and hybrid events, in-person and hybrid events out there, that's for sure. And I've been doing a lot of freelancing and a little bit of local contract as well, but been on planes a lot, hotels a lot, and been getting familiar with. I'm not going to call myself a rigging guy by any stretch, but been getting pretty familiar, watching a lot of rigging going up, a lot of sound go up, and it's been a good experience. It's been a nice addition to being 100% in my home studio and virtual only as well. So commonly when I go in and get brought in, it's for vMix and that extension out to either Zoom or YouTube and so forth. So they're leveraging those skills. How about you, Peter? What have you been up to?
Well, a couple of things. One, technically, I am now retired.
Ah, congrats.
Technically. Of course, in IT consulting, one never actually really retires. Just, just says I'm pickier about when I get on an airplane and go somewhere.
True.
I have been working with Zoom and one of their hardware partners, Poly, to help the local Boy Scout Council here in the Austin area. They have a number of meeting rooms, including one of those partitionable classrooms that's 120 feet wide and 50 some odd feet deep. Try and figure out how to set them up for hybrid meetings.
Yeah.
And so we've had 2 meetings with them now. Now they've got an engineer coming out to look at this room because we've tried to explain to them that room, that one classroom area, dividable classroom, was built out when the facility was built out some 15 years ago. And so it's really set up for in-house meetings. So it's got a nice wireless sound system with speakers in the ceiling and projectors, front-facing projectors. But if you try and turn that into a hybrid meeting, all hell breaks loose, to be quite blunt.
Oh, yeah.
You either use the in-house sound system or you cobble up some strange event because you can't get audio into or out of the in-house system right now. So we're going to have Polly come in and with one of their engineers and explain to us how they expect to do this. The other meeting rooms in the place are just standard conference rooms, and the Poly technology will work. We just have to pick the right size for the right room, and it'll work straight out of the box. That classroom, once we explained to the engineer how it was set up, the eyes glazed over and says, "I got to see this." Other than that, I've been out. I was out in the mountains of New Mexico for a couple of weeks, videoing some training videos for the Boy Scouts. So making use of my 6K Pro that
there you go.
DVD store sold me a year ago. Now finally actually using it outside.
Very cool.
Very
cool.
So hybrid events, but for volunteers, right? What can I say? That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing. Kurt, I know you've been a busy man. You got a day off, huh?
Yeah, I sure do, Jeff. I got your invitation. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice returning to live shows. It has been a challenge. I mean, not everything's live. We're still doing a lot of hybrids, and I'm getting requests from my clients for hybrid events. People are streaming in from all over. We've used vMix on some things. I'm still working with a client where I'm supposed to go out to Microsoft this year again, which I did an event for them last year, which is just video playback, but they want to fly me to Seattle to do it. And it's through their platform. So that's something. That's all I'll say.
When you say through their platform, you mean Teams?
Yeah, and I'm going to be using Teams Event on it. And all I'm doing is running.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, tell me about it. Believe me, my price is not going down for this one. I'm sorry. And it's even worse because once I get to their campus, trying to deal with all the securities, and then, I'm working through a third party, and I'm trying to explain to them that I need to do I need to have their credentials to be able to launch their event, and or at least Microsoft credentials, and they don't quite get it. And I'm like, I'm always available. I'm like, hey, I'll be on a call. I would love clients to actually have me on a call with them half the time, when they're making decisions. But and it's been an interesting challenge. My real work has always been the live world, and I have changed my position from working in the video area as much as I have to becoming a show caller. And so the last 3 events I did, I was hired as a show caller on them, which a friend of mine and I are trying to change it to being show director, if possible. We'll see how that goes. But I really enjoyed it, had some great clients, making new clients, and some of these clients have come from the virtual world. One of the shows I just recently did was specifically just a virtual production company that I worked for, and now I'm doing live events for them. And this whole world is, you're having to recreate yourself again and again, as we all know. And I just saw what you were doing. I appreciate the keeping things up to date, and that's why I came, Jeff, because I want to see what's going on Zoom. I've been getting some emails from them, so thanks for the time.
Yeah, no, pleasure. I wanted to make an extra effort. I mean, there was one time I was in a show. I don't remember what state I was in, and I don't remember whether it was my phone that popped up or something said something about Zoom Test Kitchen, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I had been so busy those 2 days, I completely spaced every single thing about it. I mean, letting people know I wouldn't be there from anything. Ask Lois, she knows. And it's just like no communication on that. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. So,
well, at least this way, I know it's Friday, Jeff.
There you go. There you go. But today I wanted to make a strong effort of getting the Facebook event invites out to everybody I could, and then the email and Discord as well. So just really let people know that, and when I can't be here, I think only once did I cancel. Once I blew it and didn't announce the cancel, but one was an announced cancel. But other than that, it's been good in the sense that whether it's David Paskin or Rupert, who else? Someone else stood in for me. But having some stand-in hosts that are willing to keep the efforts going and keep the information out there and so forth. So I just think it's a good community. It doesn't have to be large. It just needs to be focused on Zoom like it has been, and build some really good connections. There's David as we speak of him. But anyways, well, thanks for sharing that, Kurt. Laura, you've been busy behind the scenes of a lot of office hours, broadcasts, and so forth. Can you talk about that?
Thank you. Yeah, it was a learning experience.
You've got Laura, your microphone or headset has a bad connection.
Hang on.
Let's see if that works any better.
That is better.
The microphone on this is broke, and I'm using the other one, and Zoom decided to default to the wrong one.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, thank you. I have been. It was a very interesting experience. Most of you know I don't come out of the world of production. I come out of education,
Yep.
But it was very interesting setting up and scheduling and managing the behind-the-scenes crew for both NAM and Cinegear.
Yeah, very cool. Pretty cool to be a part of, huh?
Oh, it is. But when you go from we work as such a back-end team, and then they look at you, and then Noah Sargent comes to me and says, we want you to be the department head for the back end for NAM and Cinegear. And all of a sudden you're going from one piece of this wheel to having to understand how this wheel works and who fits where. And I got a couple amazing opportunities to work very closely with Mickey and Richard and JJ and Brian Shand. So it's kind of it was kind of an interesting look at how a production actually goes together.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a lot of brain power and some really good folks too. I can't imagine there were arguments or blowouts, just good solid discussions and planning and execution. So
We learned a lot about how to plan and how to bring multiple pieces of a together. What does a rehearsal look like? I walked into NAM not knowing what to think about for rehearsal. At the rehearsal the day before Cinegear, about 30 minutes into it, I realized, oh wait, somebody needs to have a plan here. Maybe I ought to suggest this, and this. But so it's been an amazing learning experience.
very cool. Well, congrats on that involvement and your contributions. Jaylene, she's our new guest coming here from, I think, a friend or referral of Ray's, right?
Ray Franklin. I have known Ray Franklin over 25 years now. I worked with him when I was in my late 20s. I was a producer. We did a lot of corporate meetings for Yum Brands and Bank One. And I moved on and I was doing corporate meetings and events for McDonald's, working with creative services. And then I decided to change careers and I went and worked in the Caribbean, and I was a crew on a charter boat for a few years. And now I am doing health coaching, but wanting to get back into presentations as a presenter. So it's really cool that I know the whole back of house and how all of that works. Like you were talking about, how does a rehearsal get run? And Ray suggested that I come in and meet all of you and learn some new stuff on Zoom. So I'm excited to be here.
Great. Well, glad to have you. And I would say make sure you're as willing to have your ears open, but also as willing to open thy mouth and ask questions and dig in and tell us to pause and say, what the heck's that acronym, whatever. It's a totally open forum here, and there's a lot of diverse experience and lots to be shared and learned for sure for all of us. So anyways, glad to have you here for sure. I see George out of Venice. How are you, George?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks. I wasn't planning on being here, but I had another meeting cancel. So when the invite popped up into my inbox, I thought, what the hey? My needs are way basic compared to what, I'm not even touching on the idea of events yet. I'm only doing webinar training and teaching software mainly.
Yeah.
So, but if there's an opportunity, if I have a time window to learn about some new tricks and tips, as Zoom is constantly evolving, that's why I'm here. Really, is mainly to listen, probably. But if there's anything I can contribute, I will, of course.
Yeah. I would say same thing that I just shared with Jaylene is certainly get involved as much as you'd like, but do know that there's definitely a difference between meetings and webinars, as you know. But if we're talking about something and it's clearly about meetings, simply kind of raise your hand and say, hey, how's that compare? If nothing else, we can discuss it. How's that compare in webinar? There's some things that just simply are not supported in webinar, like breakout rooms. And then there's other things that are, but they're just supported differently.
Yeah. I've been using Zoom for one-on-one meetings to train and teach people how to use their software, voiceover people anyway, for 7 years maybe. And then the webinar side for me is the last year where I've really hit it hardcore. And I decided to commit to using Zoom really because of office hours, because
very good.
They've shown through all the work they put into it. And, when I see that Alex hangs his hat on a technology, that you should probably pay attention, and I like to say all the time, because I'm having a website built right now. It's very impressive technology, and they're trying to sell me on their own meeting system as well. And I said, do you know how hard it is to out Zoom? You're not going to be able to out Zoom. I mean, it'll do certain things well, I'm sure, but And it'll be neat to have a meeting right on my webpage that's all part of my company. And I understand all that, but it ain't going to be as, you can't possibly have all the features and extensibilities and quality control that you get with Zoom. And for me, at this point, the key thing with Zoom that trumps everything, including AirMeet, which I've been playing with, which is really, really cool, is sound quality. I can do meetings and demonstrate software and play back audio samples in full resolution of audio, which is critical to me. I can't have a Zoom quality audio. It has to be full fidelity when I'm doing teaching. So that's really, really key for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And the I was just, I don't know why it reminded me, but I had my iPad up last week at
Hey,
an
Jeff, can I just
event.
interrupt for a second? Is
Yeah.
your audio very low for anyone else, or is it just me?
Jeff and you, David,
test,
are both
one,
a
two.
little on the low side.
Am I
Maybe you
low?
could add 3 to 4 dB each of you. I think you'd be.
Sorry, I actually had my mute button on.
Tell me if that is better.
Not
Any better?
much.
Not much.
Add a couple more clicks.
Let me do the gain side. Hang on.
I'm wondering if it's the wrong microphone. That happens so often.
I think it's the right mic, just a low gain.
Yeah, it's the only
That's good.
mic that is
You're good.
there, so
Perfect.
that's definitely registering. Okay.
We don't have Luft's meters to stare at.
Yeah, not
Which is
online,
fine.
but I do have meters on my Mix Pre that I'm looking at, and
It's all kind of relative, you know. Everybody kind of can compare. All right. Anyway, it sounds good.
stuff. So, where were we? Where was I? Oh, I was I was vmixing and streaming it and sending it out to Zoom. And we don't have a lot of remote guests these days that come in from Zoom into a in-person event. But I think the last one may have been a month and a half or two ago. We had a few, and one of them was, what's his name? Dan Cathy of Chick-fil-A came in remote. And it's kind of cool, you know, when you can get there. But last week I was monitoring the deliverable on my iPad, and we had 70-inch multi-view in front of us for the switching and so forth. But it just really kind of blew me away. Was there a delay? Absolutely, but not much. You know, that iPad was just not. I mean, it was noticeably delayed, but it was still fractional. You know, it's just amazing to me that that signal gets all the way out and all the way back. And I was on wireless as well with the iPad, and it was just incredible how quick it is on the delivery as well. So it's pretty tough to beat when there's a solution out there that can run on any device anytime. It's like, why would you even attempt to redevelop, for all the different platforms and so forth? So it's great points, George. Glad to have you here. David, how are you?
I'm good. Can you all hear me now?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I got the new Rodecaster Pro, and I've been playing around with it and trying to figure it all out.
Very cool.
I was not paying attention to the questions. I'm David, though.
Yeah, kind of introductions. What have you been up to, and so forth. I know David Paskin has been one of the friendliest, stand-in hosts for me in my absences, and has lots to share, and does a great job, and has a lot of practice because you do a lot of. I don't even know how many different shows you do, but you contribute a lot all over the place, and
Yeah, and I love it.
yeah,
Love it.
yeah, and it's so evident that you do love it. It's is it Tech-Tora guy?
Look at you showing off your Hebrew skills. Or a tech guy. Yeah, I'm David. I'm in South Florida, and I help Jewish communities and synagogues and stuff around the country figure out how to do all this digital stuff. And I'm figuring out how to do all this digital stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. It's a constant learn. David, as well, is a huge fan and user, really experienced user on Ecamm as well. So if you take notes and ever have questions about that, if you are on Ecamm communities, you'll see him there, or feel free in the chat to drop your emails or contact info for others here to see. That part doesn't get streamed out there, so it would stay within the Zoom meeting. Well, welcome there. Glad to see you. We have three others, Michelle, Frank, and Jason, if any of you can or wish to jump on camera for a quick introduction.
Louise keeps having her hand up too. You haven't asked her.
Oh, we all know Lois. No, we'll get to. You know what happened is your hand went up and you changed positions, and I was going across, and you moved up to the top left. I can see why you fell out of spot there. Sorry about that.
You know what
Lois.
else? I just noticed this about yours also, Lois, because I do the same thing. I change my hand color to natural, but then it tends to disappear. Like if you're because of the color of your background.
That's true.
And so I couldn't see your hand.
I have tried every color of those hands, every single color, none of them. So I have to resort to this.
There you go.
I wanted to jump in and say, if David Paskin is an interesting character to you, you can come and listen to the hour-long interview that he did with me on my radio show. We had so much fun. Now I'll back off until Jeff calls on me.
Well, now that you're back in order, you're right after David on my screen. So, Lois.
Hi. And the
Good to
question
see you.
is, what are we doing lately? Well, I've been doing a lot of interviews on my radio show, including David Paskin this week. So it just aired yesterday, and it's now archived. KDRT.org is the name of the radio station. I'm Lois Richter. You can always find stuff. I've also been doing. I've been stressing out about the Birding with Lois show.
Stressing out. Uh-oh.
Stressing out, yeah. Well, it's like we were going to be weekly with a panel of 8. We never did quite get up to 8. And then we thought, well, it's just too much pressure for every week. We'll just do every other week. Okay, that's great. I still couldn't get a panel of 8. So I reverted to my radio experience and said, look, I'll just invite a person on and we'll talk about whatever their passion is about birding or something. And so I had Chris Sabato from Office Hours After Hours, who came on and he talked about how to build a bird cam. I mean, literally, it's like there's this piece and there's that piece and you put these together and you use this box and it's this, and it was great. And we talked about other stuff too, but it was great. And I thought, okay, great. That's going to save me a whole lot of trouble. I'll just arrange an interview every other week, something about birds, and we'll answer a few questions if we feel like it. I did that. My last Thursday's interview person canceled on Tuesday, and it was like, oh my God, I couldn't find anybody to replace him. So I decided, okay, I used to do a slideshow. I'll just get the slideshow and present it. Wait a minute, I don't know how to do that on Zoom, except share screen, which I can't do on the program. So OBS, someone's going to teach me how to do OBS. So Ray Franklin, your buddy, said, I'll teach you OBS. So we had it scheduled for Wednesday morning so that I could do that, and then I could get the slideshow ready, and all this. I got a text, can't make it. Work got in the way. So Wednesday night, I learned how to do OBS enough to put a picture up, and then spent Thursday trying to get my slideshow ready, and realized as soon as I touched it that all those pictures that I have that I've been using for years, I got permission from all those photographers for an in-person, never recorded, never published thing. So I have to replace all those pictures. So Thursday night, this was last week, we recorded a show, and it was testing out whether I could do a slideshow with OBS and stuff. So I got 33 out of the 200 slides finished. So it's a short show. It's not public. It won't be public, but I may have some snips out of it. Anyway, long story short, oh boy, I've been learning more stuff and my brain is just stuffed. And now I have to have another guest for next Thursday.
Yes,
There you go.
Lois, thank you. And I'm sorry, now that Cinegear's over, hopefully my schedule will calm down a little bit.
Well, I've been amazed at how much the crew is able to do with so few people. Of course, this time we didn't have lots of guests, so there wasn't a lot of flipping around, but still, there were 2 people on crew, and they did a show.
Yeah.
Astonishing. So anyway,
Aaron and I did that last week with Conversations with Tony Mobley. It was 2 of us. There was literally 4 of us. There was Tony, there was Tony's guest, there was me, and there was Aaron Husledge. We did a show with 4 of us. So yeah, I get it.
it's nicer when there's more crew. So I'm hoping that it will expand. And I've got a couple of guests that had to go off on a field trip and will be back in July. So it'll be okay. Just a little stressful. Okay, anyway, that's enough.
Well, busy biz for sure. Michelle Carroll, you're new to me. I'm not sure if if you're new to the kitchen because I've been gone so much, so it wouldn't be fair for me to assume that. But welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Jeff, and yeah, thank you so much. I have been on here once before, so not completely new, but yeah, I don't think I have introduced myself. So I'm from South Africa, if you can hear my accent.
Sure.
Yeah, so we basically 6 years ago, we started a ministry, and then we started to do webinars and online meetings, started to do that with Zoom. And then when COVID started, we actually rolled that out into our consulting companies and started to help association and corporate companies running webinars and Zoom meetings. And yeah, we've been doing that ever since. So also just learning as we gone along. And yeah, when I saw your invites of seeing what's new on Zoom, I thought let me join because it's always good to keep up to date and know what to actually expect and what you can actually roll out to your clients and even make stuff better. So yeah, thank you so much for creating this platform and allowing us to join and see what's going on. Sorry, Jeff, we can't hear you.
I toggled off and forgot to toggle back on. But I was saying I like the look that you have there with the thin border and the black and gold and so forth. Very clean, very clean and professional. So let's see, Frank and Jason. Jason, I'm sure, is working, but Jason did write earlier that Lois needs a celebratory drink, I think, in chat. So it looks like
And I got it.
One. Good stuff. Good stuff. Trying to make sure I don't miss anything else big in the chat. Why
Jeff.
would Zoom tell me a 200K JPEG is corrupt and can't be used for my avatar? Does it open in everything else? Anything else that you try to open it in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can look at these files all day long. I use them on my website and everywhere, but I just tried it. I was like looking and going, oh, other people have nice little avatars that show up in Zoom when they turn off their camera. Why can't I? So I went to do that, and that was the error I got. So other than no explanation whatsoever what the error means or why it's happening, I'm kind of at a loss why that would happen. So it may be a bug in the system. It's not uploaded through the app. It's uploaded through the website. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's nothing really short of, I don't know, a different web browser. Who knows, you know? With Chrome changing every 4 to 5 weeks to a new version, it's a never-ending cycle of unpredictable behavior. So what version of Chrome are we on these days? 102.0.5005.61. You know what I mean?
George, a question on that GTT thing. What file format is it?
It's a JPEG. Yeah, that's why I linked it to you guys. Anybody would dare open it. It's a 200K JPEG file. You can open it yourself and see if you can upload it on your end. I don't want to hijack the meeting for this silly thing. It's highly not important, but
that's the way the kitchen rolls. Is we kind of let the current challenges or new findings and so forth.
I have found as of late, as a technologist with audio gear and audio software and how everything interacts with websites, etc., that things are not getting simpler. Things are more and more unpredictable all the time. Strange behavior is the rule of the day. And when you're doing anything based on web browsers, basically like Chrome is like an operating system that runs on your operating system.
Uh-huh.
But imagine if your operating system got automatic updates at any time, all the time, in real time, and then just arbitrarily breaks things.
Uh-huh.
Now, people in Windows are kind of accustomed to this Patch Tuesday concept. It breaks stuff at random. At least on the Mac OS side of things, you can lock it down quite a bit because, yes, you can turn off automatic updates and you can update things on your schedule and when you want to do it. But Chrome, not possible. You know, so it's just such a randomness of it. It's so hard.
George, I did open that link in my browser. I got a page. I saw the thing, but it wasn't itself. It was embedded in a bunch of other stuff. So I managed to open it in a separate window. And I'm wondering if when you tried to put it in, did you give it the link to the embedded thing, or did you give it the link directly to the JPEG? Yeah, see, that's it. Kurt has it.
So I saved it to my desktop and tried to replace my profile picture, and I got a corrupt message as well.
And I'm just putting it through vMix, so it's
Right.
there. It's a good image.
The image is fine, but it's not.
Yeah, it's.
I'm wondering if the format is mislabeled.
You know, I don't. How are you doing it, George? Are you trying to go back into your? Because you've got to go back into Zoom, and I haven't done it in a while. I forget how to put that picture in there. The only reason why I had mine was because I'm running on vMix and I'm refamiliarizing myself with vMix, actually.
Well, you just go to when you're on the general settings menu of Zoom preferences, you go to view more settings. That time warps you over to Chrome or whatever your browser of choice happens to be. Takes you to the Zoom settings in Chrome, where you then see your profile settings. Then you get to access, you get to click on the profile image, which right now for me is just the letter G. Then you click on the edit pencil. Then it pops open another window saying change profile picture. It says select a JPEG or PNG or GIF, less than 2 megabytes in size. Then you click change. Then it pops open the file browser. Then you choose the file and then you upload it. So now what I'm going to do is instead of JPEG, I'm going to try a PNG and try the exact same thing with a PNG and
George?
see what happens. Yeah.
Why don't you try it this way? Open your settings window, either video settings or audio settings in Zoom, Zoom, and then go down to where it says profile.
Mm-hmm.
When you click that, you will see whatever your current profile picture is. You can click on it. It says edit, and you can change a picture right there. It has absolutely nothing to do with Chrome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I do a PNG, it works. When I do a JPEG, it doesn't work. I just figured this out. Yeah, so it's
through Chrome or through Zoom?
Through Chrome.
So try doing it through Zoom and see if you can change your avatar there.
So when I'm in Zoom, I go to settings, general. Is that what you're referring to?
You go to the settings below general on the left-hand column. There's a bunch of settings, including one that says profile.
Not on Mac.
I am on Mac.
Interesting.
Okay.
General video, audio, share, background recording, statistics, keyboard accessibility. Those are my options. None of them are profile.
So you must have, so in that case, you'd have to go to general, and then at the bottom of the general window where it says view more settings, and you get into your Zoom account.
Right.
But that's, okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
So I wonder if you don't have the latest version or something, because I'm on Mac and I see this.
Come up on your, it should come up in your settings panel here. I've got it here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on 510. What is the most
Profile
current?
down here.
510.4.
So
510.7.
I just tried what you just suggested, and it won't upload the JPEG. So I went through that path. I'm on a Mac too, and it just won't let me do it.
Okay. Well, okay. We just found a bug.
Yeah, that's,
so I opened the file that you provided the link to, I downloaded what you provided the link to. I opened, and I got the error trying to update my profile picture with it. So I was going to export it as a PNG, but you had already said it works as a PNG. So I opened it in Photoshop, which it opened fine, and I exported it to a JPEG, which seems redundant and repeated, but it now updates my profile picture just fine.
Fascinating.
And doing none of that, I just changed my profile picture. I mean, I didn't crop it. That's the image that you are saying doesn't work. It worked fine. No messages, no changes, no nothing. I'm wondering if maybe it's a bug in that particular version of Zoom.
Or Chrome. Because I'm not doing it through the app. I'm doing it through Chrome browser.
But I just did it through the app and it worked. So.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. And I can't do it through the app because I don't have the option to do it through the app.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if perhaps after the meeting is over, or if you want to step out of the meeting and do it, try it just in your Zoom app on your Mac without anything else. Or maybe try updating Zoom and then try it.
Yeah, I mean, there is a 0.7 update. I'm on 0.4. You guys are on 0.7. So that they obviously have fixed the problem since then. So I will
So
check.
George, you also not
I
see
can't
the edit
update
button.
mine. I have a corrupt file from you as well, according to Zoom. So although it can open in, photos.
And it's also
so forth,
suspicious that if you resave the JPEG, which is what you did,
Yep.
that there is a variation somewhere in photo
the
editing software.
Yeah. The header or there's something in the header, versus the content of the file that is a mismatch according to.
What did you use to create it? What did you use to create the file?
Well, luckily, my graphic designer who built the whole thing provided the files in 6 different formats: PDF, SVG, PNG, JPEG, and the vector files. So I have a lot of options to choose from. So I can just simply jump to the PNG and poof, it works fine. So, some problems are worth troubleshooting. Others are just a giant waste of 12 people's time. But there you go.
Oh, but not here. Because the 12 people's time gets lots of people's fixed, because there's a lot of folks that watch this show who aren't here.
George, I wanted to tell you the other thing. My other big news this week is I have switched from Windows to Mac.
Oh, wow.
At work, because there is an accessibility issue in the university software that we've solved with VoiceOver. JAWS can't do it, but we've solved it with VoiceOver.
Oh, with the VoiceOver function in the Mac OS. Yeah. Interesting.
We've solved it. Like there are just keyboard commands that exist on Mac that don't exist in JAWS.
Oh, fascinating. Well, that's good to hear.
Welcome to the Mac community, Laura.
Oh, it's more of a welcome back. It's more of a welcome back. I was in the Mac community. I learned on a Mac in the 90s, like 97, 98. So I'm just back.
And what celebratory drink are you having? I've got water.
I just finished a pineapple flavored water myself, so thank you. Yes. But yeah, literally I have a Windows machine and a Mac and a Macintosh sitting side by side on my work desk at the moment. And I reach for the Mac before I'll reach for the Windows machine now in less than 7 days.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a transition. And I am in a lot of discussions comparing Windows to Mac, and it always devolves a little bit into a flame war. Unfortunately, it can anyway. So much so that I made my own Facebook group called Mac and iOS for VO, just for my VoiceOver community to have a place to go to talk anything Apple without being flamed by Windows users. And I have 1,200 people in this group. So it's a funny thing. But at the end of the day, I just want tools for my clients that are reliable and predictable. And Windows has proven to be less than predictable because of its automatic update nature.
And I can take the same all our software at the university is web-based. and I can use the same software on a Windows and on a Mac. And we finally proved yesterday that there's an error in the software because we've done it in VoiceOver, JAWS, NVDA, Windows Narrator, and so now the fight goes back to the software developers. Like, fix it. It literally, you hit you're in a table inside of a software program. You hit tab. It should take you one cell to the right. It jumps you up out of the table to the button at the top of the table. You hit tab again. It drops you back into the table 9 columns over. Now you tell me any blind user is going to be able to figure that one out.
Wow, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
And the software developer, this is like a major software that's used at a lot of universities. It's our registration system. They're refusing to fix it.
Yeah, that's the scary part when a company doesn't want to fix it. It's interesting. Mac versus Windows tangent continued, and we can end it at any time. I've had one voiceover client who I went to her home physically in person because she is blind and she needed me to help her set up her equipment a little bit. But she was already an expert at editing her audio, and she did it on Windows. And the reason why was SoundForge was the only audio editor that was 100% keyboard command controllable. Now that may be different now. That was 5 or 6 years ago. But I would watch her record and edit her voiceover tracks with no sight. 100% keyboard commands. It was really, really impressive, really amazing. So there should be that level of accessibility on the Mac side, I would imagine, but it depends on the software. Obviously, you're using. I like Twisted Wave personally for Mac OS. So if anybody's looking for something really, really simple to operate and use, that's very friendly, I can recommend Twisted Wave on the Mac side for those looking for an alternative.
Good stuff. Hey, so let's get into some release notes and so forth. Lois, go ahead.
We have a couple more folks who have not yet introduced themselves, and I know Frank doesn't have a camera today, but he's certainly with us in chat.
Yeah, I have audio. I just don't have a camera.
Yeah. So can we do that, Jeff?
Yep.
Oh, Frank.
Oh, hello, everyone. I've been here before. I've been really busy for the last year, so I haven't been able to pop in as much as I like, so I've been watching some other recordings. What can I say? I work at a university in Canada. I'm the supervisor of educational technology. We started off with about 1,500 Zoom licenses, and now we have about 30,000. I sit on my Zoom governance committee, and I meet with my Zoom rep and my account rep every week, and I'm under NDA, so there's certain things I can't talk about.
Very good. Welcome.
Thanks.
You see Chris Zifos off camera as well. Chris used to be here often. There he is, popping on. Hello, Chris.
Yeah, I've been excuse me, I've been busy, and but right now I'm recovering from COVID, actually, so I'm not so busy. I hadn't seen your email in a while, and all of a sudden I just saw it, and I was like, oh, wow, right, Test Kitchen, here we go.
There you go. Yeah,
you know,
still
and
here.
but I was just in at Infocom last week, so saw a lot of stuff there. If you guys have already talked about things.
Good stuff. Well, welcome back. Glad to have you here. Yeah, and I don't always send out the emails versus the Facebook event invites, but we'll do a more consistent job of that because it certainly helps. Everybody communicates, kind of has their primary line somewhere out there. So, anyways, let's go over some, things that you. I mean, while we're doing this, think about new features, even if they're new to you versus a new feature to Zoom, something that you've, identified lately. Keep those things, build those things up in your mind and bring them out for some discussion. As let's start by how do you keep up, with what's new and even, what's coming as well. So I'm going to share my screen. And if you Google Zoom release notes, you'll end up on a page like so, Zoom support / release notes, and it lets you look ahead. Like today's the 17th, and they have release notes for the 18th and 19th and 20th already. And then you can also, if it's not date related, you can see what's coming, and realizing that Zoom has many different products, you'll quickly see that it may just be a product that maybe you use or maybe you don't use. Release notes for Zoom Contact Center here. The 19th has a pretty extensive list for web, which will be relative to a lot of Zoom users. And it looks like they've been doing a lot of work on the web client itself, and then PWA, Zoom Phone. And or you can get down to the product itself. Release notes for web, release notes for Zoom Client. If you go into Zoom Client, then you can dive into either Windows or Mac or whatever platform you want to dig into, because the features don't always come out across all platforms at the same time, and so the closest parity, I think, is commonly Mac and Windows, but that's not always the case either. So the current release is 5.10.7, and this is on May 30th was the last release note. Is the share the Zoom whiteboard to Zoom chat channels, and then you can scroll back for a long ways, like a long ways, since the very first release note they ever put out, I do believe. No, this page doesn't go that far. That's April 2020. Maybe that's when they started this page, but it includes bundles. So if for some reason you needed to take a look and go there. But I'd also say, keep in mind that new features, not all new features, but there's certain new features over the last few months that, well, let me back up even further. Previous to what I was going to say, there was a feature that came out many months ago that would allow you to configure as a host a minimum required version of folks joining the meeting. I don't know how much hold that feature actually got, but it was there, and you could assign minimum required version per platform even, and make good use of that. What's subsequently come, and I just get the sense that they had to do something better than that. Let me, the user or host, define what the minimum version was, because Zoom as the organization develops so rapidly and releases new releases so often, is they had to come up with something that would help them. Because what happens in our world, we end up having speakers or whatnot deliver something that not everybody can partake of, because they're on different versions and so forth. What happens to Zoom is they end up with this spread on help desks, this spread of versions that become about impossible to accurately support. And what happens on a help desk is the first thing they say is, well, let's start by upgrading your client, and then they'll see if the problem persists and so forth. And so the next feature that they put in was auto updating, and it what are those two choices that they give you? It's like faster or regular or something like that, right? So that you're kind of on their cutting edge or you're not. And most organizations and their help desk and product departments have what they would call their latest stable version, right? And that's not just because they decided to release it. It's been released. It's gone through the help desk and support teams for long enough, and it's proven itself. And that is there. Where the fast auto update, you'll get it when they release it, and it doesn't go through that support regimen, if you will, quite as much. Yeah, George.
I think that's a brilliant thing. I kind of think of the latest update as the beta, even though internally it's not. But I think of it that way because it really hasn't been tested in the real world by the user base, right? So I really, when I'm troubleshooting and maintaining my clients' computers, I'm always telling them to stay versions behind with certain, like OSs, for example. I'm always like, don't be on the bleeding edge OS update for a Mac. Be on the last fully stable version of OS, right? This is one of my practices. The fact that Zoom is making that just an option for how you do your updates is brilliant. I wish every single developer would do something like this because it would really catch so many bugs before they get spread into sort of the, I guess I should say, the mission critical, user cases. Let the people who are into testing and have less than mission critical systems just do all the updates and see what's happening, and let the rest of the real world see the one that's gone through that extra level of vetting. The second I saw that option, I posted about it online in my groups just to tell them how this is something they should look at, and I think every developer should consider.
Yeah, agreed. Jason, you've been waiting patiently. Sorry about that.
Oh, hey, good to see everyone. Jeff, on the June 18th web update, if you'll share that on the screen again, my eye quickly caught something that was called content restriction, GPG. And so wondering maybe if that's related to the JPEG issue that we had earlier.
I think it's for GIFs. There's a GIF rating system, and you can determine, at least in enterprise, you can say which PG GIFs are okay, and these GIFs won't be allowed to be viewed.
Try the word restriction, Jeff. And I think it was called content restriction was what my eye caught.
But we used a JPEG just fine for some people.
Yeah. So, and it was just curious because my eye caught it, and the fact that it's for tomorrow. Yeah, today's still the 17th. And I have noticed sometimes that things get unstable the day before a release. This may be one in a blue moon kind of thing, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we've solved some issues in the past.
Good stuff. I was going to say on the next phase of, so they had this auto update release and two methods of auto updating, and so that I think helped them a lot in the sense of really helping their help desk, really their customer base as well, and so forth. But because of their rapid development, they if I share this again, Peter, go ahead while I select to share.
So the other thing I would point out that the law of unintended consequences hit when they did that require a minimum level is Zoom ISO broke. If somebody set it too high, the SDK was below that.
Yeah, Zoom OSC and Zoom ISO, they both broke. And I mean, to this day.
Because they haven't released, they haven't updated to the latest SDK.
The SDK was based on, I don't remember, 3.5 something, I think, but
right.
But and they're working on fixing that. I think we'll see that this summer, I would guess. But that was if somebody sets it too high. Well, even if you never leveraged that feature of setting a minimum required version, the auto updating helped, and then they kept releasing new features. There are certain features under settings that you either have the client to support those features that have been turned on by the host, or you don't get in the meeting, period. And this is like customizing the waiting room. It says, by enabling this is in yellow with an exclamation point, all participants using older versions of Zoom will be asked to upgrade their clients before joining. So it'll give them the choice, yes or no. But if they say no, they're not coming in the meeting. The feature, allow participants to join before host, will be disabled. So it's this one here, and there's another one. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but there's another one that has these requirements. And so the whole thing about Zoom OSC and Zoom ISO, for instance, for those that are familiar with it, there's no way for the client, to respond to the feedback that it gets during login, and where it says, hey, you need to upgrade. Do you wish to upgrade, yes or no? The SDK has no idea how to respond to that, and therefore it just stops connecting to your Zoom joining. It stops successfully joining your Zoom sessions so that you can't use that product anymore. To know it helps. It may just be a feature that you don't need, but you really need Zoom OSC or Zoom ISO, and so go turn the feature off in settings, and that requirement and kind of breakpoint will go away. Anybody else? David, I'm gonna call on you. You're pretty up to date on stuff and Zoom and so forth. What have you found? I know over the last few weeks you guys have spent time on the new whiteboard. What other features and so forth? And you can even share thoughts on whiteboard, because this is a pretty fresh crowd in the Zoom Test Kitchen today as well, so I think it'd be useful.
Well, here's the one thing I learned about the whiteboard, which really sucks, is that there's no parity between the client whiteboard and the web whiteboard. So not only that, well, that is to say, you can put images in the web whiteboard, but they don't work in the client whiteboard. So if I were to, here, I'll do it real quick. If I were to open up Zoom and go to the whiteboard, I'm sorry, it's making me log in.
I'll bump you up there too, just in case.
Oops, I'm not authorized to access this page. Really? There we go. So if you go and if I were to add I can add an image here. In fact, you have it, excuse me, on the left. Wow, what is going on? Look at that.
David, I think you've hit on the reason why the kids I work with insist on using Kahoot.
Yeah. Well, that whiteboard's no longer accessible. And I have to open one that, this one, that one's not accessible either. Wowzer. All right, I'll just open one that I know is accessible. So on the whiteboard, on the web side, you can add pictures. You have the image icon. But as soon as you open this up in the web client, no one can see the image. They can see all this stuff that's here, anything that you've added from the left-hand side from the panel, but except images. Those are gone. And so I had built all these beautiful whiteboards that I was going to share in my meeting, and then no one could see them. So that was the big fail that I discovered with whiteboards.
Does it work the other way around? Can you add images in the client, and does it end up in the back-end portal?
Unless something has changed, there's no image support in the, here, I'm going to open a whiteboard. Is that me or is that you? I don't know.
So I just opened one. Shape, line,
so if you look on the left-hand side,
stickies. Yeah,
right.
there's
no
I can see there's
image
no
icon. So not only can you not add it here, but even if someone adds it on the website, you can't even see it there. So
Interesting that they're developing a step ahead on the website of things versus the client.
Well, right. And if you remember, we also saw when we were looking at this up here in the top right of the website, you have this comment button, which right now does absolutely nothing because there's nowhere to leave a comment. So it's kind of strange. But and that comment also doesn't exist on the client side. So they're just in many ways they're different products. So I was really excited because I was planning on using this religiously, so to speak.
You didn't say that, did you, David?
But
so
it
check
really
this
didn't
out.
do. It didn't
I
do
just
what I needed.
accidentally found a way to add a comment. So I'm going to share my screen here. And so I did what you did, clicked on comment, you go, and there's no way to do it. While it's showing and you click out here, there's a comment space that you can type into.
You're on mute.
It's not a chat feature. It's like Google Docs. You can comment on something on the whiteboard.
Yeah. So if you had multiple objects here, I could point at this object that I wanted to drop a comment on, leave that one there, and then I can drop one over here by this. This is like super unuser friendly in the sense of realizing, and then it starts to actually show itself down here.
Look at that.
Huh.
Look at that.
Wow.
It's funny because I was clicking all over inside that comment box, thinking
That's
that
exactly what I did in the past. I just happened to click off, and that comment popped up. I'm like, wow. So it is functional. Now, if I click the check mark next to the comment, then it goes away, kind of like a to-do item, it goes away because it's complete, and I can edit or delete it as well.
Yeah. So okay, so that was sort of my fail with the whiteboards. As far as other features, I feel like it's been pretty quiet on Zoom in Zoom world for the past couple of weeks. There is, it looks like, a big release coming out on the 20th, which I'm looking forward to. With not that I use this, but video filters can be persistent for future meetings. You don't have to go in every meeting and change the filter or set your filter. You can have a persistent gallery after pinning, which I'm also really excited about. So if you pin someone and then you unpin them, it won't switch back to, it switches back to speaker view. And so it won't do that anymore. It'll keep it in gallery view. And then...
Yeah, and I'm going to keep mental notes. We're going to review some of these, like for real, like what's the advantage, when does it become a real win, and then how do we actually, do it? We'll get to that too.
Yeah, and then just two other pieces that I'm excited about is the gesture, the gesture recognition. I've turned it off because I found it constantly accidentally putting my thumb up or whatever. But being able to turn it on or off in a meeting, I think is nice. And then being able to search breakout rooms. Those are two other pieces that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to be able to search people across all breakout rooms to find out where they are. But
well, I think you can. I think that's what this is.
Oh, is that what that was?
So it's
breakout rooms for people, not the name of the breakout room.
Search participants or breakout rooms by name.
Good.
Yeah,
that'll be super helpful. Yeah, because we, I have this one event that we host, and we open up 100 breakout rooms and scatter people out, and then there's always latecomers, and we know who they're supposed to be with, but we don't necessarily know, which room, they ended up in. and so that'll be great to be able to.
I will say, you know, we are such a self-selected group here. It's amazing how many people will join a meeting that I'm running and they see the waiting room video and they're like, whoa, how did you do that? You know, and I mean, that was what,
true.
2 months ago? It feels years ago.
And they released it months before that, and then they pulled it back, and then they re-released it, whatever they considered fixed. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. Well, even I mean, how many people will you, the host, or somebody designated will host the PowerPoints for the presenter, who is on a different Zoom, you know, client session, and then let them be the ones to advance the slides. And you know, in the past, the argument, you know, sometimes, you know, with a speaker is, no, I want to have them so I can, you know, control them. Well, that's okay, but that's not a backup system, for one. And I can share things faster and smoother, you know, while you're speaking or whatnot, than most people can, because we do it all the time. And but then there were solutions like, you know, Remote Pickle or others. What do I use?
I use Internet Clicker.
Yeah, Internet Clicker is the one I'm actually licensed for. And but the presentation control is built right into Zoom now. You know, it used to be that people would use remote control, which was just a nightmare because it was full-on remote control of the desktop. And that just wasn't good, because they would be advancing their slides on my laptop, and I couldn't do anything on it. Otherwise, I'd be pulling their mouse away from them. And so the remote control was not a good option, but the presentation controls are there and built in, and I can host, they can drive the slides forward and backwards, and we don't have a conflict like remote control and the whole bit. So it works great, but you just don't see it used a whole lot.
That's super interesting, Jeff, because when at the beginning of the pandemic, when I was doing new student orientation online in like June of 2020, that was one of the things that, because of my vision, I did was I had my student assistant screen share my slides, and then it ended up being the only way we needed to do it was next slide, next slide, next slide, next slide, and it was kind of, that's interesting to hear that they've brought that forward.
Yeah, the next slide is like my least desirable, and I remember this, I won't say the company name, but a very, very large medical group, and they all said, no, we don't want remote control, you know, we'll just call it out. I'm like, wow, unbelievable. I had
Jeff,
one speaker who was so good as a professional speaker. She never said next slide ever, and I knew exactly when to move that slide. And it wasn't because of the script. It was just, you know, and so as we move on, you know, I mean, just words that flowed forward, or body language, you know, I mean, or she didn't have a script, but she would make sure she read those last few words of the last bullet, right? And so she was incredible, but
we were both really busy.
I missed something.
Can I just, Jeff? I want to say that Frank in the chat said that 5/11 is coming soon. So I'm hoping that means June 20th, which would be fantastic. But there's also a great question here from Michelle asking about backstage webinars.
Yeah. Has anybody in this group used it yet? No.
I know that the Event Pros have been playing with it, the Facebook group Event Pros, but I have not.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's if you go to the Facebook group called Zoom Event Pros, um, that is admin by a friend of ours, Denise Lahat, out of Israel, and I think they meet. Is it every Tuesday? I think, and you can get on the platform and have the experiences there. I was also going to. I live in Overland Park, Kansas, and the one of the webinar. I don't know if she's the product manager or not, but she's directly connected to everything webinar. Let me see if I can. Her name's Kat. Kat. I'll find her in an email.
If you're
But,
interested, guys, I can share something kind of cool that I've been working on with oh my God, I just lost his name. Zoom Ice Andy.
Andy, yeah.
Andy Carluccio.
Yeah. I just need to figure out how to. Here we go. Starlight Capture. So let me see if I can get this to work for you. Is it going to work? I haven't played with it in a long time. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Anyway, I'll just show you what we're doing. So we're working on a way to bring Zoom chat to export Zoom chat and bring it into a live stream, or to bring it on screen, basically. And so what we've built is, and I'm sorry I can't make this much bigger because it's or actually I can, I guess, can't I? A second. There we go. So we have an OSC listener that's listening. It's not hooked up to this meeting right now, but an OSC listener that's listening to the meeting, to the chat in the meeting. It then grabs the messages, the chat, and sends it through a profanity screener, and then through a question gate. So this is like, does it use is there a question mark? Or you could change that to, does it have a Q colon? So it's sent through there. So that way it takes out, because I want to do this in meeting, not in webinar, where there's a separate Q&A. So I want to be able to filter out just the questions. Then it packages that up as a message, and then it puts in just a 0.01 second trigger delay. Then what we did is we built both basically, what do we want this to look like? And we built a fill and a light. So there's a little box, and then what do we want the text to look like? And so I have some text in here, and I wonder if this will work. And then we send those both into a multi-mix, into a zoomer, so we can crop it, get it the right size, and then we send that out through the projector here. And I don't know if I can get this to work right now, but, because again, I haven't done this in a while. Let me see if I can get this guy to go. Zoom
David,
chat.
are you showing that flow in Izzy?
Yes.
Okay.
This isn't Isadora, excuse me. Yeah, so there you go. Is this working? No, it's getting something, but I don't know what. Make sure that you have. In any case, he's going to be working on it. He has to do some work on the back end to get everything working together, but that's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to a time when I can sort of just bring in a question from Zoom, or a chat message from Zoom, and then bring it into my streaming thing.
Yeah, and didn't he and Greg Gibson did a bit of a rundown on this as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a more generic way of doing this. And the good news is that he said that this is the kind of thing that they're working on internally in Zoom, also in Zoom events. How can we have more access, deeper, richer access to the to chat and stuff, so that we can get it and bring it out and put it in wherever we want to put it.
So I want
David.
to. Yeah, go ahead, Laura.
Did you go back and watch your session with Tony?
Did I watch my session with Tony?
Yeah,
I
did
try
you
not to
see
watch
that?
myself, but
Did you see that Aaron was actually bringing up the questions that if it was a question from the audience, we were actually able to bring it up as a keyed lower third in VMix.
Yep. But those questions were not from Zoom, I don't think.
No, they came through. We use Alex's solution for that.
Yeah,
Right.
Mukana.
You use Mukana. So what I'm trying to do is to get it to work right in Zoom. Because in my audiences, I can't send them to Mukana. That will never happen. I need to have them. I need to be able to grab that right from. Now, what I did before, by the way, when I pulled up. Now I can't turn this off. Go away. So earlier I pulled up this question like this, and all I did here is I literally. If you go into chat and you just click on the three dots, the only option you have is copy. And I just copied and I just pasted that into. You can do this into whatever you're using.
Yeah, I've done the same thing in through Mimo Live. Same kind of concept, right? Right.
We also created one which was kind of cool actually through using Google Sheets. So, and this one is actually working. Is if you we have through an incredibly convoluted system, we have Isadora listening to chat, grabbing it, throwing it into, oh goodness, now I'm forgetting the name. What's that? It's kind of like an if this then that, but it's on steroids. It's not IFTTT. Whatever. There's another one I can't remember the name of it. It grabs it. It then sends that into a Google Sheet, and then this is just a widget overlay from Google Sheets. So bottom line, and I'll stop talking after this, is that the good news is that they're working on easier ways to be able to have deeper and richer access to some of this data in Zoom that we can then use in production.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know I was going after a potential solution for a client a while back, and I thought, well, I'll just grab it and filter it, and realizing that no, it's too late. By the time I can grab that chat data, it's already in the chat window, and so really only Zoom can run it through their filter, if you will, like bad word filter, prior to exposing the words that have been written. But to self-manage it, then you have options. Yeah, Lois.
So a long time ago, when David was talking about remembering things from one time to another time, I am told that one can remember what breakout rooms you made so that next time you don't have to type all 12 titles in. How do you do it?
I'm taking a note.
Is that Jason nodding his head there?
Save breakout rooms, I think is what it's called. It's when you're in a breakout. So you're a host, you're the host hosting the meeting session, and you open up the breakout panel, you assign people into their groups, you set your options. This is a 10-minute breakout session, countdown clock in 60 seconds, yada, yada, yada. Down at the very bottom, you have the option to save.
And
So-
is that only available to the person who created that actual meeting, or is it the host, the person who's at that time host of the meeting, and can a co-host do it?
I don't know about the co-host. That's a great question, because I could see that happening either way. Your other questions are the person that's hosting that session. So like Jeff is showing here on the screen, the three dots to save breakouts. And
So is it tied to
So
the
let me-
host, or is it tied to the host and that meeting?
So let me try it, Jeff. Since I'm a co-host, let me try and see if I can create the breakout rooms.
Yep.
Co-hosts can create breakout rooms. I do that all the time.
I understand that, but I'm just asking, I'm checking to see if I can actually save. Doesn't give me the option to save.
And if you made someone else host for a moment, Jeff, would they have the option to save, or is it just the person who created the meeting?
We will find out. Peter, you are now the host.
Oh, do it. Okay, now do it again. Okay. Nope, still doesn't give me the option. So apparently it
So
is the
it's
owner of the meeting.
The
It is
account
the
owning host, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
The one that
You know,
created
the only other
the
way
session.
Yeah. The only other thing I know, Lois, is I've in the old days before they had this dynamically create breakout rooms. Remember, you could load a CSV file with all the titles of the breakout rooms. That always works.
Yeah.
If you own the
You
meeting.
can save multiple,
if you know ahead of
multiple
time.
CSVs, yeah.
If you
own the meeting, not if you're just host
Yeah.
of the meeting.
yeah, and you know ahead of time, obviously.
Hey, Peter, just a deep in the weeds question. When you were the host just now, did you try to save the setup that Jeff had created, or did you create
I tried to create a brand new set myself.
Okay. And then we're not able to save that.
Right, correct. I could have overridden what he created, but I can't. So I think it's an unintended consequence, right? Or a bug is a way of looking at it, because it allowed me to override. It was going to allow me to override what Jeff created, but not save it. Which I found odd.
You
So the
cannot
saving
see-
permissions.
You cannot see what Jeff created last time once the rooms are closed.
I saw what Jeff had created, because he had created a set of breakout rooms.
Mhm.
And then I went in and went through the whole process, because it gave me the option, how many breakout rooms do you want to create, all that, and then it wouldn't let me save.
Yeah.
Only thing I didn't do was enable it, because I wasn't sure exactly what I would have done to us all if I'd said enable the breakout rooms.
Yeah.
That might
So
have caused a bit of a
most of us would have gotten tossed to breakout rooms.
So the save out, so the save is tied, the save function is tied to the session creator and is active during the entire length of the session. If you have a recurring session, then it sticks.
right.
And it goes with the session, that is the meeting number, rather, I think, than with the host. So if the host opened a different meeting number, I don't think it would be there.
Correct. But let's say we had birding with Jason every week and breakout sessions. And so I create that, and as long as it's tied to the same, I want to get the terminology correct, not event number, but the
Meeting ID.
meeting ID. Thank you. Yeah. As long as it's the same meeting ID, and we have, I say, okay, breakout room 1 is going to have person A, B, C, group 2 is going to have D, E, F. Then since that's a recurring meeting, that assignment sticks. I can change it, but it sticks week to week every time I open up that meeting ID.
I misunderstood. I thought what it was saving was the names of the breakout rooms, but you're saying it also saves the population?
Correct. It saves
Correct.
that's right. It saves the people in the breakout group, which is very handy. So here's what I use it for. We have a recurring meeting. There's an assignment. It's sequential. So once we've established the small group and there's the rapport and they're gelling, then they carry on week to week. And every time I don't have to sit there and move the boxes, it sticks.
And
Yeah,
if
I
you
do
have
something
2
similar.
new people join the group, they just remain on the top of the list of unassigned, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
I mean, I do the same thing monthly for a meeting. I run 16 territories across the United States. And part of the meeting, main meeting, we're all together, but halfway through the meeting, we distribute everyone out to 16 breakout rooms.
Thanks.
But I do it with, it's always the same people.
And the validation is based off of the email address that they use when they sign in. So here's a problem that I experience. Person is using their Zoom client, they sign into their account, bob@gmail.com. Okay, so then I assign them to a breakout room. I save the setting. As long as that person signs in the same time every week, the assignment sticks. 1 week they're on the road and they decide to use the web client instead. Okay, now they're an unassigned person, and then I have to manually plop them into the group.
Unless you allow them to self-assign.
Correct, unless you allow them self-assign.
All right. Michelle, you've had your hand up for a while.
Sorry, I have a few questions, if I may ask it. It was around the chat as well, when we were talking about the chat. I guess the one question that I had was, so in previous sessions, we had some participants that wanted to paste the bio of the speaker in the chat. And what we realized was there was a character constraint on how much you can actually paste into the chat. So I wanted to find out if there's a way that you can increase that, or the maximum characters that you can actually put in the chat. I don't know if anyone has the answer on that. And then the second thing I wanted to ask is if anyone have found out a way that you can delete chats if somebody has posted something into chat that you don't want there.
Yeah, so deleting is a big no. They don't give us any ability in meeting chat to delete, hide. I mean, the best you could do is if it was completely inappropriate, then you'd have to boot the individual participant who's contributing that. But there's no way to rid yourself of it.
I found, Jeff, because we run into this problem with kids a lot, is we send all chats to a moderator, because that's one of your options. You can always send it to a known co-host, right? Or to the co-host or host. And if it's something that is appropriate to be reposted, that person can repost it to everyone. It's a little awkward,
Yeah.
but it works. Let's put it this way. It's a filter. It's a filter.
Keeps it behind the curtain until it's deemed appropriate. Yeah. But it's not like Q&A where you can kind of authorize it with a button press, and release it, if you will. It's a copy and a paste and so forth. And the other thing on that is so you've got chat right now. If you have your chat window open, you can highlight that chat text or part of it, and you can right click and select copy, right? Everybody confirm that, or whoever would like to confirm that.
Andy Carlucci was joining us. Sorry.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and whoever put in since I'm a co-host, I should be, if in fact somebody put in this says I could, in theory, a host co-host can right click and delete. No, you can't.
No, you can't. And so I'm going in the settings, and here I'm going to share this screen real quick. In the back end settings, there's a area that says chat. Allow meeting and webinar participants to send chat messages. And then this sub box here is allow users to save chats from the meeting. I would ask, how many of you read from that description that applies to select, copy, and paste, as well as the little drop-down ellipses that gives you the option to save, because it does. If I turn that feature off, I always thought it applied to kind of save chat option, the little drop down save chat. It's either there or it's not. It also applies to being able to copy and paste from within the chat window. But to me, that description doesn't help me understand that at all. And but once you know it, it can be powerful, and it makes sense. I mean, if you don't want to provide the save chat option as a drop down, it makes perfect sense to take away the ability to select, copy, and paste as well. But I think it would be helpful that had just a touch more description there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I use that feature. I mean, I turn it off, so I knew it was there. But you're right, the description doesn't tell you that. Michelle, do you use the chat etiquette tool for your problem?
Sorry, I'm not sure what the chat etiquette tool is.
Okay, so that was a feature released in April, I think. And we played with it a little bit on the kitchen. So you're able to create a naughty list at the account level, I believe. No, at the account level. You can also do it at the user level, and you create a naughty list. When people join the meeting, it gives you a warning. Chat policy is in effect. Anything that matches the naughty list doesn't get pushed out to the audience.
So I'll share my first experience with the chat filter, the word filter. So this meeting, the actual Zoom license that's used for this is provided and sponsored by the DVE store, the bug up there, right? That's Guy Cochran, for the sole purpose of letting the world know, anybody who comes on the kitchen, that Zoom does a great job with high definition, 1080, right, and high-end audio and the whole bit. That because there were for the longest time, and maybe even still today, there's people who say Zoom's the wrong tool if you want a great, high definition experience. I'm like, where are you coming from? Now, it didn't help that their popularity came about when COVID kicked in, and the world went running to Zoom, and they had to protect themselves, their resources, if you will, right, to be able to
they couldn't scale fast enough,
absorb the customer base, but not cavitate their systems in the data centers, because then they just disappoint every new customer that joined the company and their solutions. So so they had to trim everybody down to like 360, and only certain folks with certain licenses and so forth could put in a request and expect a positive result of an increase of resolution. So it was tough. And then there were tricks and stuff, with like hooking up a Zoom room, having a Zoom room join, or a Facebook portal, or things like that would bump it up to 720. But anyways, so Andy Carluccio is in the room. He says, he says you can.
Oh, there,
yeah.
Oh, there he is.
And he said.
Yeah, I can step in there for a sec. I apologize. I'm recovering from being sick, so I don't look good enough, and I will spare all of you the experience of having to see what that looks like. But I was listening to the test kitchen, and I thought that I should step in on this one because I think you'll find that it's a helpful tool. If you look. So you may not, let me preface this by saying this, you may not see this right now, but if you were to go to the Zoom web portal and go to the in-meeting basic section, you should see a setting called allow users to delete chat messages in meeting chat. Now, if you do not see that setting, That is likely because it is one of what we would call a setting that's required by an OP flag. These OP flags you may be familiar with. You've probably seen them for things like enabling 1080p in your meeting and things like that. They are created via a support ticket. So if you do not see this in your in-meeting area, you should, and you have I don't know exactly what the what Zoom's policy is for enabling this setting for you, but I'd presume, if you have some paid account, you should be able to email that support inbox that David Paskin knows all about, and within a couple of minutes, they should be able to set that setting for you, and you should be able to delete in meeting chat messages from there.
That's awesome. All right.
So
I'm gonna make that call today.
Yeah.
Honestly, do it do it right here on the show. Show people how to send in a feature request, or not a feature request. I'm sorry, a support ticket on the on this, and let's see how long it takes support to give it to you.
Can we spotlight David?
Well, hold on, I'm working on it. I'm going through my. I'm trying to find the email. Bear with me a second.
The support website literally just got a complete overhaul. It's brand new support workflow, so it's pretty nice.
So, and does that mean that the user can delete the chat, or is that meaning that the host can actually delete the chats as well?
That's a great question. I believe it's gated at the co-host permission level, but we can test that. Yeah, we'd have to test that.
Do you know, Andy, if the poster can delete a message they posted?
It might be. It may be. I don't actually remember. I mean, in the ideal world, right, what would happen is you could retract things that you've said, and the co-host or host could delete anything that anybody said. Would be the goal. Now, I don't know exactly how that's implemented, but let's see if we can discover that.
I'll let David do the email.
One thing I'm seeing right away is which I don't remember is this my request. You can actually look up what you've requested in the past. And
you're not wrong. It's this is a brand new website for our support system, and there's a whole new everything for all of that.
I still don't see how to submit one.
Let me see if I can show you on my phone.
Still need help submit a ticket. Yeah, just scroll down a little bit. So technical support. No. Delete chat. A little birdie told me that can enable a delete chat.
You might want to use the specific setting. It's called allow users to delete chat messages in meeting chat.
Allow users to delete, what was it?
It is allow users to delete chat messages in meeting chat.
Right. Priority. Not really a problem, right? Feature request. Meetings. About.
Settings and configuration.
Platform, Mac. Meeting ID.
I don't know that it's a. Can you show those priorities again? This is just me learning our new system. I'd say it's normal. It's not a feature request. It's something the product already has. And it's not a general, asking about how something works. So I would say normal.
All right, submitted. I will keep you all posted and let you know if I hear back. Oh, look at this. This is nice, though. Wow. You have like a whole thing here. It shows you the status. Very, very nice. Nice.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Andy, for
you got it. Yeah, I'm
jumping out of YouTube to join us real quick on that, because I was a hard no on that. I had not ever seen I'll have to go search the release notes to see where that was, because even in the release notes, they do clarify that you have to, submit support request when it's that kind of a feature. But,
Hey, Jeff, I think it's really impressive that Andy Carlucci is looking at our Zoom meeting and jumping in.
I know, right?
It's not only thank you, Andy, but also thank you, Jeff, for making this available to the world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watch every Friday whenever it's available on YouTube. I can't always jump into the meeting and all of that without getting a couple of things set up on my side first. But on something that's an existing feature, where it's just a little bit of education about the product, I feel like that's a safe area to be able to jump in. So
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sick. I would have. I would have happily paid a little more attention, but I had it on in the background. So,
Andy,
yeah.
So this says Zoom support my activities, but then when I go back to Zoom support, I'm not sure how to get to my activities again. Do you know?
Oh,
so
no, not off the top of my head.
Down on that big support page, with all the options, I ended up hitting an area that had a big orange sign in button. And once I did that, then on the top right, where it was like my account or the login or something, there was a drop down there that took me to all my tickets and so forth. Let me see if I can find it again here.
Yeah, my account requests.
My account on the top, request, yep.
I'm just not seeing how to get there.
If you go to zoom.us, it's on the upper right if you've signed in.
Well, support.zoom.us.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah, so top right of the screen, my account.
Oh, requests.
Requests, yeah.
All right, I'll be over here in the corner.
Yeah. So the very top, well, not the very top, but the first choice on the page is submit a ticket, and then if you scroll, well, actually, it's not the top; it's towards the bottom. The very bottom of the page is a phone number if you have paid support or a license that entitles you to call in support. Because I always call. I'm spoiled with this account that is an enterprise account, and I can dial the number, and within a minute or two tops, I'm on the phone with a support tech, and they're putting it all in. They're either providing an answer or solution, or they'll get it all ticketed, and then it just becomes an email transaction back and forth. It's super good that way, but not everybody has access to that, and so I'm a little spoiled there. But the email everybody has access to.
I think it's great to, as a kitchen covering topic, to explain how to contact us and how to tell us things, because we listen. I know I certainly listen. So if you've sent in a feature request or something like that, you're always welcome to ping me as well and tell me what you're working on, and I can, depending on what it is, I have escalation abilities depending on what we got going on. So always feel free to contact us. Yeah. It goes into a system and it's not lost. I promise. I've now seen both ends of it.
Yeah. You used to be the one
sides.
Frustrated as a third-party developer, right? And now you've got keys to the kingdom. So that's awesome.
Yeah, trying to fix up where we can, especially around developer things. I think you've seen a lot of improvements in the SDK in the past couple of months here that should really smooth things out, and the whole team really puts a lot of work into that stuff now. So that's great.
That's awesome. That's really good. Good stuff. Yeah, excited to see what's coming in the
we were just talking about the SDK earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, with the minimum version and all that stuff. Yeah. You got the best is yet to come, folks. You'll see a lot of me in the next couple of weeks here. All right. How about
awesome.
that?
Okay.
That's
yeah.
Well, that's good news. I mean, yeah, and these will be the fruits of your whole transaction, if you will, right? I mean, kind of the first glimpse of some real benefits and comings together as products and so forth. So that'll be awesome. Looking forward to it. Well, thanks again, Andy, and get well soon, my friend.
Yeah, we'll do. I appreciate it. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
See ya. Hello, Josh. How are you?
Hey, Jeff. How are you doing?
Good. And Rupert, he joined us from his conference room. We were, so that's good news. So David, you put in the request, and when I end the meeting, I'm going to call support and go that path on getting that. What description did Andy tell you to?
Put it in the chat.
I will.
Sorry.
I'll copy it for you. Now that I know how to find it.
Words or phrases you define. No, that's words.
Please, no one delete it.
That's not deleting. Allow users to delete chat. There we go. Thank you. I will use those words when I call them, and we'll compare response times and so forth there. Cool. Save gallery. Frank Heaney, are you still there and waiting? I see your hand, and I forgot all about that. So sorry about that. If you've got something. Maybe not. All right. Dave, one of the things David had mentioned earlier was being able to save your gallery, your custom galleries. And, I think it's worth explaining what's a custom gallery, and it's really nothing more than those old slider puzzles that used to be, when I was a kid on a vacation, that was our form of entertainment, man, playing these slider puzzles, and anyways, is to click and drag and move people's position, right? So I will I'll share.
So just so you know, the update I was referencing was actually not so much about, it was about after you pin someone, when you unpin them, it changes you back to speaker view. Now they're changing that behavior. So now it'll stay in gallery view for you.
Got it. Oh yeah. Yeah, if you were pinned. And there's another, like when a share, if you were wherever you were, I think it was, and someone shared, it would not go, I think share went back to where you were, no matter who you were in the meeting. But if the host were to spotlight somebody and then unspotlight, it wouldn't take you back to where you were. And that would be maybe worth checking into as well. So let's take a look. So I'm sharing my gallery view, and if I were to pin, to David's reference, to pin David, which is not a push, right? It's not a spotlight, so it's not a David's bigger to everybody. He kind of is now because I'm sharing my desktop, but this is just a local thing for me. And are you saying now I'm pinned to David because I'm counting whiskers on his face, right? And then somebody shares. Is that what you're saying? It's an interruptive visual move, or
no, it's just if you unpin.
Yep.
What it says here is if you unpin, participants in gallery view are returned to gallery view after pinning and unpinning a video, rather than switching to speaker view after unpinning a video. Now this is a release for June 20th. So
coming. So I just unpinned you, and you're still big on my screen.
Right. So now it's going to send you back.
They're saying that'll go back to gallery view. Yeah. I guess it could be back to where I was. Does it go to previous view or gallery? They say specifically gallery view.
It says if you're in gallery view, then it will send you back to gallery view.
Okay.
If you're in speaker view, then it doesn't matter because that's the behavior now.
Cool. All right. While we're here real quick, I don't know how many people use this. I mean, how many people have saved a custom gallery layout for any useful way? So let me just build it. I'm just going to drag Josh up there, going to drag Jason up there, and David up there. Out of everybody in the meeting, those are the 3 key speakers that me as the host on it could be 500 people in the meeting, 490, 7 of them, I don't have to do anything for. But these 3 guys, these key speakers, are the ones that I always want to be able to easily get to and spotlight and unspotlight and multi-spotlight and so forth, right? And so once I have created now this custom gallery, then I can say follow host video order, which is to force you guys to see it the way I see it, which is helpful in the sense that now if you're in gallery view, you see the same top row order if your window's the same size, but you'll see Josh and then Jason and then David in that order, no matter how the layout is. That's helpful in itself, because when people come back from, let's say, they either join the meeting or they come back from breakout rooms and so forth, even if you don't spotlight or multi-spotlight and you stay in gallery view because that's the customer's request, you still want your speakers to be in that top left to right flow, the way we read and view, and so that can certainly help that. I'm looking to see on the save. I'm not seeing the save.
While you're saving that, Jesse is pointing out that none of this works if someone has a hand raised. Or a spot.
The hand raise blows it out of the water. If someone raises their hand, not you 3 guys, but if somebody else wants to raise their hand right now, you'll trump them. You will precede them. That custom order. Now, once you unraise, it'll go back. I don't know if I speaker gallery immersive follow stop. I'm baffled at the moment on, did I lose save? Did I turn that feature off? I don't usually turn things off. But let me go look. Let's see. Save gallery view. Yeah, it's on. After reordering the gallery, the host may save the arrangement as a custom seating chart. So the question is where is it? I know it used to be under the view button. Almost positive. I'm gonna release it. Nope, not there. Let's see what they say. How to reorganize, how to save. Enabling save, done that. Saving, they say it's under the view button. I'm not seeing it. Am I the host? I am, yeah, I took that back. Huh.
Yeah, you're the host, Jeff.
Yeah.
And follow host order is a button that appears after you've
you make it
manipulated
tile change. Yeah.
Yeah, and I expected the other to appear as well. Does that need to be enabled in settings?
Well, it is an option in settings that you have to enable, but mine is. It's called Save Gallery View under Meeting Advanced, and mine is for my meetings is enabled. I've done this before, but for some reason I can get follow host video order, release video order, but no save. Bizarre. But I've used it a couple of different times, and I found it super useful in the sense of it. One, you could shuffle for a long time, but you couldn't save it, and so shuffle was temporary, especially if you had breakout sessions, because when everybody came back from breakout sessions, you know how everybody gets ordered. Like, you know, when you start a show, the speakers and the client are going to show up early, not a big deal. So the video order of joining, they are pretty much all up top. And you could enforce that by just locking in them, by moving them as well, but you couldn't save. So then you can save the gallery order. Well, what happens? Let's say don't save yet. Then you go into breakout sessions and they'd come back, and there's no telling when they're going to re-arrive from the breakout room. Therefore, that main speaker or those main speakers could end up on page 14 of your Zoom gallery. And it's really hard to chase people down. And you can't do a search and to click and drag them to the front page. You have to look for them in every page. And so now that you could drag them where you want them, create this custom gallery order, and save it, then when they come back from breakout rooms and everybody's back, you can load the gallery view, and poof, those folks, those 6, let's say, that you custom assign their location, will end up where they're custom assigned, no matter where they are in the multi-page attendance, if you will. So that is pretty useful at that, but you know, it's a niche case for sure.
Jeff, was authentication required for this meeting? Because that is required for this to work.
Well, let's see.
I don't think so. Well, I can't tell you.
I used to. It feels like I may have. For some
Because authentication
reason,
throws people
weeks.
through a whole bunch of hoops.
Well, I mean, all it does is it makes you log into the Zoom client to Zoom with your Zoom account.
But that says not everyone might not have a Zoom,
correct,
an authenticated Zoom account.
But it's a, you know, it's one of those checks. I used to have it on. Let me take a look at this meeting, and because it almost feels like I may have turned that off. Yeah. I used to have it on, and I can't remember the reason I turned it off, and it was meant to be temporary. So that's actually a good reminder. My require authentication to join is not required at the moment, so that's why I'm not seeing it. Thank you for finding that, David.
I guess that makes sense. You have to know who the people are so that you can save their location.
Yeah, you have to have their. I mean, Zoom needs to have their user ID, right? So when they come back to, I mean, it's tied to my meeting, recurring meeting, and then it's tied to their specific ID as an individual as well. So that does make sense.
I have a few questions about that, Jeff, if you've poked around with it a bit. You used the example of the 3 people on the top. So I'm wondering what its contingencies are when meeting situations change. So for example, if you've just moved 3 people, is it just saving the people that you've physically moved, or is it saving the state that you've created when you hit the save button?
I believe that it's saving the I don't think it's an absolute position, because raised hands, you know, kind of knock that off the charts, right? But it saves an order. So, you know, I think they have this priority list of, you know, raised hands are first, and then first arrival and next arrival with video, I believe, kind of sets your initial position. So when I move 3 video tiles and say, you know, you're first, you're second, you're third, it says, okay, I'll keep them in that order right behind any raised hands and then any other priority items. I think raised hands visually is the only thing that trumps that. The participants list, that's different, but I'm not customizing the participants list. You know, I mean, the participants list actually doesn't shift anything because right now I have, well, let me go back here. David is number 1, Peter is number 2, Jason is number 3. And so I go, David, yeah, it doesn't move, it doesn't change your position there, because there's several layers of, priority in the participants list. Your own name will always be first, right? And so I'm at the top of the list, and then co-hosts and who else? Guys, there's raised hands, and I'm trying to think of others. And then finally it gets to a point where it'll alphabetize everybody else. But I believe it's a order 1, order 2, order 3, and then if there's anything that trumps that grouping, and then if you're unassigned, then you'll always follow that grouping. So the rest of the gallery, all the other videos or participants, doesn't really matter. I don't believe any of that has any necessity to be saved, because if you're not present, you just don't get included, and if you are present, you do get included. So if I assign 6 positions, if number 4 and 5 aren't there, it's just going to become 1, 2, 3, and 6 in the order versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If the 4 and the 5
unmuted also pops people up on the
yeah. Yep.
So if your speakers are unmuted, they'll be at the top. By the way, according to the support page, you need to not only set you need to set this in your settings. So if you go down to meeting advanced, you have to turn it on, and then according to the support page, it actually says that you need to do it for each meeting also. For each individual meeting. It's for an individual meeting. Once this has been enabled for your use in your settings, this has to be enabled for each meeting you schedule.
Yeah, it's under the options of scheduling, creating a meeting. So you have the back end, you say, hey, enable this functionality, but it's going to check box when you schedule a meeting that says, do you want this to be, usable or not? Yeah. Yeah, and Jesse brings up a good point. If I share my gallery again, let me release the video order. Then I'm just kind of back to normal, right? No spotlights, no pens, no gallery order. And let's say I spotlight David, and then I go back to gallery view. Now David's still spotlit, like I can see that, but if I try to, while there's a spotlight or while there's a pen, you can't reorder the gallery while there's priority on a video, such as spotlighting. And so that'll be, timing is everything, especially if it's an event that you're managing. Timing is everything, that you have that moment where you can make it happen, and you make that save. And do you have their call time 30 minutes prior, bring them in as they're arriving, just keep things shuffled and ordered appropriately, and hit save and before the show starts. And when the show starts, then spotlights are probably potentially gonna always be active. But
hey Jeff,
yeah,
I have a real-time update from Zoom.
Cool.
I got a response from the Zoom team. They said, hey, David, thank you for contacting Zoom support. This is Elton. I'm happy to help. I believe you're having some concerns with enabling the feature allow users to delete chat messages in meeting chat. Please be informed that if it's enabled, all users joining the meeting need to be on the minimum client version, which is 5.4.3. Please also keep in mind that the attendees in the meeting will only be able to delete their own chat messages, while the host can delete anybody's chat message. Should you wish to proceed, kindly reply with an email stating that you confirm your request. So I will not be turning this on because I use Zoom ISO. And again, this will force all users to be on some minimum client version.
If they wanted to be able to do that, though, you'd probably still be able to log into the meeting. But
No. All users.
They couldn't
join
get into
the meeting.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, this is one of those features that if it's and the thing is if it's enabled, and right, and so you can have support enable the functionality for your account, but that doesn't translate to the requirement is the client version requirement is now in effect. It's only in effect is if you create a meeting that's going to leverage this feature, then then that client version would be put into place. I believe that should be the expected
You're on mute, Dave.
behavior.
Yeah, sorry. I'm actually going to respond back with that question. If I have him turn it on, but I don't enable it, will that still force? Because that I'm fine with. But Frank, I would wait for Zoom ISO this summer. I think we're going to see some big things from Zoom ISO.
I think
Yeah.
Andy just broadly hinted at that not more than 15 minutes ago.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
that'll be a great find because can he enable it, and is it one of those features
So you can then throw the switch on.
that you can turn it on or off during the scheduling of a meeting? If
Yeah.
it's not, if it's always in place across the board, it's a toughie. And that's what happened to me when we were looking. I started to talk about this but didn't finish. Is the word filtering? Bad word filters. In the Zoom test kitchen, I went behind the scenes on this account, which is Guy's enterprise account, right? And I enabled it, but it's under the advanced settings, not just my user profile settings. And when I did that, I got a reached out to by Guy the next day, Saturday, and said, "Hey, did you do something with this feature?" And I said, "Yeah, we kind of tested it yesterday." Well, doing it under advanced settings was a global implementation of that. So everybody who joined the meeting was warned about that feature being turned on and what the consequences were and so forth. And it was pretty disruptive. So it was a problem.
Just another live update for you from Andy Carluccio. I need a breaking news banner.
Yeah.
He says, don't worry about it for Zoom ISO. Zoom ISO is on 5.7.3. So 5.4
cool.
whatever.
That's an old one.
5.3 is a really old one, apparently. Or at least it seems that way. And to Jeff's question, he writes, this appears as a toggle setting under the overall meeting settings.
Overall meeting settings. Okay.
Excellent.
I'm going to ask the question of Zoom anyway, just to find out, because that's interesting.
Yeah. Now Andy's offended because he is Zoom,
Well, but it's a learning moment for the responder, Jeff, because he is going to, otherwise they can put it in their knowledge base that they need to respond this way to minimize questions.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, they I think they do a great job. I mean, I've requested, when I requested the advanced waiting room features, right? When they got those out, it was a pretty verbose initial response to my request of it's a consequential response, right? As long as you're aware of this, and this as a result of turning this feature on, would you like to proceed, right? And so they've let you know so that you don't, or they can minimize, people coming back and harping on them about this massively changed behavior, right? It's like, well, you asked for it. Well, you didn't tell me, right? So they get that out of the way. Yeah,
because I was right behind David. I just submitted that same request for my 2 pro accounts as we were sitting here.
Take care, Frank Heaney. All right. Jason, what do you got? I'm looking at you going, you're strong in knowledge on this. Jesse Mills as well is strong in knowledge on this. You guys have other thoughts, features, things that be worth bringing out?
I got a question if anyone has experimented much with the multi-spotlight cloud recording. I mean, currently I've been waiting for that feature for quite a long time, but you know what happens now is it just gets recorded to the gallery view. So in an edit, you still have to import your active speaker view and your gallery view. And when nothing is spotlit, the gallery view is the full, you know, up to 49 folks on there. And then as soon as spotlighting more than one person starts to occur, the recording, the gallery recording shifts into that multi-spotlight view. So, yeah. I mean, anyone else using that, or?
I've seen that behavior. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Because I went to speaker view recording, anticipating that you know that I would see either one speaker or multiples, but yeah, it's not where they put it, which is a little strange to me.
Well, it's nice that it's there. I just wanted to share the fact that it is available now in the cloud recording, that you can do multi-spotlight, because it used to only be on local. So that's pretty
you're saying
handy.
multi-spotlight as a separate recording?
So multi-spotlighting used to only be recorded if you did a local record, and now it's recorded in the gallery view recording on the cloud. You know how you can check all these different sort of recording levels and inclusions. So yeah, anyway, it's there if you record gallery exactly as a separate item. Then if you do multi-spotlighting, that's where it'll show up. So it's sort of, the other thing about that is if you wanted to, it seems like if you wanted to have the whole group of 49-ish people, assuming you have, you know, that many or more in your session, if you wanted them recorded as a group throughout, then maybe you wouldn't do any spotlighting. Not quite sure about that.
Yeah, it's really kind of knowing the behavior and then pairing it up with what you want as a result, right? You know,
Yeah, I found just like with any Zoom recording, it's just a matter of trying it out, you know, a few times and making sure that what you want is sticking. But it's just that the cloud recording is sort of evolving alongside the local, which is great.
Yeah, well, and you know, I mean, even streams never used to deliver, you know, multi spotlights out to, you know, YouTube or Facebook or whatnot, and it does now as well. Not recently, they did that a few months back, but
super handy. I mean, like, yeah, back in the day before folks used to use spotlighting, there was a lot of like cats walking across couches and stuff like that.
Right.
No
Yes.
doubt. No doubt.
Oh, we still have those every once in a while.
And
Unfortunately,
cloud-based
David,
audio too.
Unfortunately,
separate ISOs. Go ahead, Peter.
I was going to say, I have an interesting update on our infamous allow users to delete chat one. I'm sorry, David has dropped off, it looks like.
Oh.
I have 2 pro accounts, so I had to send in 2 separate feature update requests.
Yeah.
I got different answers.
Wow.
One says 5 I need to be, it will force the client version to be 543. And the other one says 563. Now, which is right?
Well, 543 we heard twice. Well, and David got 543, and
I got one of them.
You got one of the 543s.
So I'm hoping it's just a typo.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a typo. It should just be either automated or copy and paste. But
I just found it interesting. Right there, I see 2 different answers.
Yeah, that's wild.
To your point, Peter, about training the support, I guess it's well taken.
Yes,
without question.
Well,
so how many individual ISO audio records can we get in the cloud now? Do you know? I'm not going to mouse over the question mark because that's where the answer is. I'm sure it exceeds 200. But if you have 1,000 people, it doesn't mean you're going to get 1,000 records. That's kind of my point. But it is 200. It doesn't exceed 200, but it's at 200. Yeah, the first 200 will be recorded separately, which I'm assuming that's first 200 based on arrival time. the audio of users who joined by phone will be merged into one audio file.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it would be nice if it was merged into something like a polywave or whatever, where you can just drop it in all at once.
Yeah.
But how does that show up? It's a bunch of MP3s or something.
For a phone.
Looks like phone
Or,
is merged.
as far well, if I went to recordings, I haven't looked at these in a while because I just leave things on YouTube if everything goes well. All right, so let's get something that has some file counts. Yeah, so on the bottom of the list of these recordings that we're used to seeing, then there's a drop down of all the individual audio recordings. I wonder why there's multiples for people's names, if they joined and dropped, or if it's because they went to a breakout room and came back, would be my guess. Because like me, the host, I only have one recording because I never go into breakout rooms as the host. I don't include myself in that distribution. But you can see 2 Kirstens, 2 Mikes, only 1 Pete. But then, like Anissa and Ray, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Barton. So that's interesting because I would guess that those are returns from breakout rooms.
Really? I thought those would probably. It doesn't say it here. I would assume they would be private. That the audio wouldn't be recorded in any breakout rooms.
No, not in. No, I think it's when they've returned to the main session
Oh, I see.
from
Yeah, of course, yeah.
going to, coming back, going to, coming back.
And what's the file type you're getting there?
M4A. Oh, I thought I was showing this in my share. Did that? Sorry about that, guys. I thought I was showing this the whole time. So I picked one here that had several files, figuring that that had to be part of it. So I went in under the recordings, and then at the bottom of each group of recordings, then is this breakout of the individual ISOs.
Your screen share, Jeff, is a bit faded.
I see that. Yeah, I see that on my capture. It did this to me a few weeks ago as well, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why. Yeah, it's coming through over to vMix that way as well.
Do you have the checkbox on touch up my screen capture appearance?
Yeah, but I don't think it's that. I think I do remember what I did on this. I'm going to mess up the stream recording because I'm going to move the mouse. But I believe I went in and changed the graphic processing under advanced, and I think it fixed it. Go advanced, video rendering, post-process capture. I don't remember which one I changed. Optimize video quality with denoise. And I don't know if it would fix it on the fly on a Windows machine anyways, but I'll try to find this setting because it did. Every share I did, and video capture method, direct. Enable. See if I reshare, if it helps. No, I'll have to go through those options. I'm pretty confident, though, that's what I had changed. Although, to your point of fixing the look, yeah, it's there and there's no reason for it. And low light. Share one more time. Nope. Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's a new lap. I mean, it's not brand new, but it's only a few months old, and it's quite capable vMix type laptop, gaming laptop. So we'll have to see. Even the color space of my video on there doesn't look correct. I'll have to take a look at that. Well, very good. It is 4:30, so that means they're about 2.5 hours in. We got a few drops for sure. Anyways, it's been a while, been a good run. Good to get back together for sure. Any other questions, thoughts, shares before we call it a day?
Has anyone changed the? I think it's on a Windows only setting for audio. The raw audio, I think it is either turning on Windows default or off Windows raw. There's an option for auto as well.
So is it under advanced?
Yeah, under audio advanced settings. Yeah, I think it'll only be for Windows.
You're saying has anybody switched it to Windows Raw?
Yeah, it says auto allows Zoom to set the Windows signal processing mode for your device. On enables the drivers to provide a level of audio processing. Off puts the drivers into raw mode so that the Zoom app can receive an unprocessed signal.
I'm looking in stats, audio stats, to see if there's an indication of what it's using from auto as a result of auto, but it's not there either.
Hey, Jeff.
There, my share's better now. So it was the video settings, but I was doing it on my streaming machine versus my host machine, and so I so far the only thing I just changed was use hardware acceleration, and I unchecked video processing, and that improved. I don't know if there's others that will be less, but you know, I wonder if I were to. I'll have to test this after, because I have an NVIDIA 2060 super card, and and so I'm using the 3 encodes that it can provide. One, vMix is doing a record, and it's doing 2 streams, one to Facebook and one to YouTube, and so that might be where the problem stems from, is that the 3 encodes that card is capable of doing at the same time. So Zoom as well is trying to use hardware acceleration at the same time on top of that. So
you removed the acceleration, and it.
Yeah. It's I removed the acceleration, and I shared a notepad, and it's clear as a bell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to, you know what? Let me stop the record on vMix because we've got one in the cloud here. I'm going to turn that acceleration back on and then share. Yeah, that still looks good. I'm going to turn the record back on. See if we make this repeatable.
You might need a burn in.
All I want to do is share now. Yeah, something's fixed now.
You might have to heat up your GPU to test it, maybe.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think it's definitely connected, but I'll have to check that out.
Hey, Jeff, I have a question.
Yeah.
First, can you confirm that I am just an attendee? I've got no special privileges turned on.
Jason is, yeah, you're just an attendee, no co-host.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tony, let me try this again.
You're on
Look
your
at
private
that.
jet, RJ.
And now, so what can I do? So look at that. Crazy. Okay, so I'm just an average guy. And I was able to send a request over to Tony that was called request camera control. He saw it, acknowledged it, and so now on one of my monitors, Tony is pinned, and I have a button that says switch camera. Let me minimize these other things, make sure there's not other controls floating around behind all these windows. All right, so the button, it says switch camera, and Tony's on an iPad, so I could switch between front camera and rear camera. And let me just see, I cannot turn the camera off that I can see anyway, unless it's hiding. Nope. So weird functionality. One, why as an attendee would I want to do that? And, or let me rephrase the question. Why as an attendee would Zoom allow me to do that?
Yeah.
For the inherent risks.
You work at a university. You should know the answer to that first question.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Which is why I had to rephrase the question. Why would Zoom think that that would be a good thing?
Yeah. But
So,
the
Tony,
only
if I
thing
remove
initially, like the only thing you could do was request. That's all you could do. It was only because Tony accepted your request or authorized your request that then it became like, oh my gosh, I'm doing a lot, right? Like you couldn't have manipulated his camera if he didn't allow you to, right?
Correct. Right.
Okay.
He did have the opportunity to deny the request.
And I'll get that a lot in Zoom meetings where someone intends to pin me and instead they request access to my camera. And so then it tells on them.
Yeah.
Right. And that happened because Jeff has that feature enabled in his account to be able to request camera control.
Right.
And every time you join the kitchen, you get that warning box. But I thought that was only the host that could request camera control. I didn't think that would be any average Joe attending the meeting could request camera control.
No, it is everybody because like Guy in the past, he had like his fish tank cam, his PTZ fish tank cam, and anybody in the Zoom meeting could kind of play around with it and so forth. And so, yeah, it's definitely. Let's look at let me go remind myself of the back end options to see if there's any sub options to that setting other than just on and off.
Yeah, if you have, like I say, a guy had a PTZ, and if you have like a portal device, then it allows some zooming function, so you can do that. With
Well,
the
I
camera
wonder
control.
if with Tony's iPad, does your iPad, Tony, is an iPad Pro with the M1 in it that has the
Yes.
follow
Yes, it is.
me tracking?
Center stage.
Yeah,
Yes.
center stage. So I wonder, do you have a left and a right, Jason, when you have control of his iPad camera?
No.
No.
So I've got him pinned. I've got Tony pinned to my second screen, and I have a switch camera. Is the only functionality that I have. So I can either see his table or I can see Tony when I switch camera.
Yeah, far end camera control. Allow another user to take control of your camera during a meeting. Both users, the one requesting control and the one giving control, must have this option turned on. So the
I
assumption
assumed.
is Tony's account also has to have this back end setting enabled as well, by the way that reads. Both users, in parentheses, the one requesting control has to have it on, and the one giving control has to have the option turned on.
Okay, so let's test that. Tony, I'm going to stop camera control. Okay, now, and let me remove the pin. And Tony requested of me.
Oh, center stage is turned off too. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Oh, that could.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So find my name in the participants panel, click more, and then one of those options is request camera control.
Assuming it's on the client.
Look at that. I see your request and I approve it. So Jeff, I do not have that feature turned on my account. So that is because so he's able to request it of me, and there he turned it off because we're in your meeting where that function is enabled.
Or the description is wrong.
Yeah, I mean far end. Yeah, I mean clearly here. I'll blow this up and share it.
Now, when I switched cameras, it is showing. I don't know if this is the background or what, but I'm seeing something that's not you, Jason.
Okay. Yeah, it looks right now the camera is turned off, and oh, that's my virtual camera. That's probably the other one that you're seeing, Tony. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the way they write it, anyways, is that
allow other
it's
user
just between the requester and the other end. But
yeah,
let's see
the way that I read that was the host, right? The person creating the session can request camera control, which is great. Like if you've got panelists or presenters and they forgot to turn on their camera, and you can just reach over there and do it, as opposed. But that's not the way it plays out. And then it shouldn't just have attendees be able to request camera control of each other.
So the question, Jason, is this a bug or a feature?
For me, it's definitely not a feature. There's too much risk involved.
I would agree with you, even though I'm not dealing with college students, I'm dealing with high school students often.
Which is worse. They are better testers of software, though, I will say. But yeah, if I was a panelist on the zKitchen and, I'm talking, doing the thing, whatever, I acknowledge Tony's camera control, and he reaches over there and switches me off in the middle of the presentation, that would not be a good thing.
Yeah.
I've noticed this feature in the early pandemic times.
Yeah, this came around very early because on office hours we played with it a couple of times in that first year, early in that first year.
As I recall, it was originally rolled out because when all the schools were doing remote training, and it was basically, it was a proxy for a test proctor, right? So you're getting ready to take a test. You have to verify that the student's not cheating, that they don't have people sitting next to them that are giving them the answers, or that they're on another device looking it up. And so, you know, I could turn on the eyeball and see what you're doing.
So, I mean, in their notes here, what's getting me, because I'm not sure that, you know, I really agree. Like, is your camera a PTZ camera, Jason?
No,
You
it
know,
is
I
not.
mean, and it says this more than once. If the participant does not have a camera with PTZ capabilities, you will not be able to request control. It's not true. I mean, maybe it won't. Now, I can't request control of yours right now, Jason, and
Really?
I could have.
Well, I guess
earlier.
technically it's true
Maybe
because
is
you
it
can only
because I'm
switch the
sharing?
camera. You can't control the camera.
It's okay. I was sharing, and so request camera control does not show up when there's a share active, but if I now request
Oh,
camera
here comes.
control
Okay,
there,
so I have a approve or decline. So I shall approve. Jeff can now control your camera.
Now, so it shows me PTZ controls, but you know when I click on them, it doesn't do anything. And it gives me zoom in, zoom out. Oh, zoom in did.
Yeah, zoom in and
What
zoom
kind of
out would
camera is
work. This is a Logitech, and so
Okay.
you're probably talking to the Logitech driver,
I'm
which
panning you though too.
Yeah, because the Logitech driver for this camera has that. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can pan.
I'm tilting too.
You can turn on cat mode.
No. Yeah, so the Logitech camera driver has that, even though it's not a PTZ camera. It's kind of a pseudo way to cheat. But so Tony, now that you turned that other feature back on, let's see if I can have more control than I did before. Here comes the request. Okay, and
I haven't turned it on yet. Give me 1 second.
Yep. Okay.
I don't know if you need to send another request or not, but
Oh, that's a good idea.
okay. Center stage is now on.
Okay, so I only have the ability to switch camera. Let me send another request since you turned that feature on after my first request. Let's see, how do I turn it off now that I turned it back on? Oh, here we go. Stop camera control. Okay, and now I'll send my second request. Here comes the request. All right, thank you. No, just switch camera. I mean, is it a function of your other camera? No, it is not.
You should see a plus minus if there's any zoom capability.
Okay, let me make sure I've minimized all the panels, that nothing's hiding behind. Nope.
You know what? I have an Avaya. See if I can get it connected.
Yeah. So I've got control of Tony's as well, and I just get a switch. All the other controls I had with Jason's don't show up. It shows up on the bottom right corner of the video with the pan tilt.
Okay.
Zoom. Yeah.
So that was so with mine, I know for a fact that's a feature of the driver.
Yeah.
Try this one.
Okay, so let's see. Let me find you on my list. All right, Josh, here comes. Oh, first I have to pin you.
Is that you moving your camera, Tony?
No, it's the software since it's on.
Oh, it
it's
was
moving.
just trying to. I see. It's just trying to do it.
Oh, the software was auto tracking. Okay.
Well, that's what that function does on the iPad now.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Josh. So I've got Josh's camera. Let's minimize all these floating panels. And yeah, looky there. I can, well, I have buttons. Let's see. The pan, the zoom, I have buttons, but it does not.
Let me try something.
The zoom does. The zoom does. The pan does not. Oh, now we did. Wait a minute. That's weird. There we go. Yep.
I think there's a little latency to the button presses.
Yeah, you can try mine too. I'm using a PTZ right now.
Why the heck would I be allowed to do that as an attendee on another attendee's camera? This would be fantastic as a host and a, panelist and presenters, but
yeah.
Well, I mean, they spoke in one of their articles. They were speaking to a support scenario, and I'm not sure exactly where it applies to support, but possibly,
maybe. I guess if you've got
Could be like, look out, who's behind you?
yeah. Or maybe little old granny that calls into the support line and no one can see me in a meeting.
I want to know what airline RJ is flying that has bandwidth good enough to be on a Zoom meeting in the air.
I think he's on a bus.
Are you still on the ground? No, he's not on a bus. Is that a bus?
It's a bus.
It's a bus.
It's an Airbus.
Yeah, it's an Airbus.
Yeah, I think he's saying he's still on the ground. So he's using LTE or something.
Hey, Jeff, I have a question before we leave for today. And
all right. Yeah, what you got?
So I have tons and tons of House of Worship content on my Mac Mini M1. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to move the video content off of my M1, but also have it available if I need to bring it back to for church use. So do you guys have any suggestions?
I'd get one of those Samsung T2 drives and just move it over. Or you could move the Zoom meetings over individually if you're keeping them organized that way, Tony. I mean, do you have a subdirectory that's just where all the Zoom recordings are?
I
mean,
typically I name them by date. And so there's two meetings that we have. We have Thursday night meetings and we have Sunday morning service. Now I just arrange them by date, and then I'll say, if it's the Thursday meeting or.
They're just normal files. I mean, you can copy them to an external drive, which is what I would do.
So is your intention to get them off of computers and just on something until you need them, or are you wanting to relocate them to another computer?
Well, I right now I have two computers, but I really only have one M1 that's reliable. I have a 2013 that I use for recordings, but that's all that I use it for. So my main machine is the M1, and I'm running out of storage space, but I don't want to delete the content. So I want to be able to move it off of the M1 so that I can free up space. I'm down to less than 100 gigs free. Yeah. And from time to time, I'm having little glitches, different things are happening. So I'm attributing it to that.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, either either a cloud store, or if you don't want cloud, whether it's cost or bandwidth, to move it when you need it. And I mean, do you guys have Zoom cloud storage, or don't wish to go that way?
Well, it is the church's pro account, and there's a limitation on the storage. And so, from what I've been told, that the storage is already full as far as the cloud information storage is concerned. And so I actually wanted to move everything. I really wanted to actually have cloud storage and hardware storage on a device in order to keep moving forward, just to have it in more than one place. But right now it's pretty much resting on my M1.
Yeah, I'm not sure the best. I mean, you need a big chunk of storage somewhere, whether it's local or cloud based. I mean, I usually find cloud is. I mean, the thing about it is Zoom historically, anyways, hasn't been real hardcore about enforcing the cloud capacity. I mean, it may have changed, or it may change over time, but it's been pretty friendly. And then it's what do you want the records for? I mean, are they meant to be played on demand? From this day forward.
Right now, it's a matter of, I think there are churches just recently gone to sharing services on YouTube. So there's probably five live services that are on YouTube right now. And there are probably three or four videos that have been uploaded by me. And so the original thought was that before we were broadcasting to YouTube, that the old content, going back to the beginning of the pandemic, some of those would be edited and then they would be pushed up to YouTube at some point. The issue why a lot of that content is not on YouTube, because there's a lot of copyrighted music that's there, and that music would need to be edited out before it was pushed to YouTube. And I'm not much of a video editor at all, and it's a challenge for me. I was trying to get some young person from the community to take on that task, but it looks like I'm going to have to try to figure it out.
Well, on a different note, Tony, your church isn't trying to monetize those recordings, are they?
No. So we have right now probably, I'm going to say probably 10 videos that are on YouTube that are set to private. But those ones that have been set to private all have copyright claims.
Strike notices.
Not strikes, but claims.
Go read the paperwork again, because if you're not trying to monetize it, you're all right.
Yeah, well, they told us, I mean, I've checked in, and so we are all right. The issue is that I kind of wanted us to find, because I had asked Jeff months and months and months ago about copyright-free music to use with the church, and I shared that. I got some resources from office hours, and all of the music that was copyright free that we could use, the membership didn't like. And so the music that they like is typically always, copyright music. So what we're doing now is only what goes to YouTube right now does not have any music at all. It's just, if it's a lesson and instruction, that goes to YouTube. If it's a sermon, just the sermon and the prayer afterwards. And that way there's no issue with copyright. But the issue for me right now is that I have 500 gig 512 hard drive that is less than 100 free on my M1, and I just need to get that content off there.
But you don't need it immediately accessible. That's why I made the comment about using one of those little Samsung T5 drives or something like that, just to move the files. They're just normal files, Tony. They're just normal.
So Peter, my question is it like clicking and dragging it to the drive, or
just plug the drive in. It might ask you to format the drive depending on what the drive is you get, and you can drag the files over. Then you have to, this is on a Mac, because you're on a Mac, remember to eject the drive, and they're sitting over on that drive now.
Okay.
It's just simple drag and drop.
Okay. I can do that.
Yeah, if you go to your recording settings in Zoom, it'll show you, if there's any question, it'll show you the path in which they're all being stored. But yeah, they're just local files. I mean, you could drag the top directory of it, like Zoom recordings, and then it has all the individuals. Just grab the top one and it'll move every single one of them over for you.
And that's what, and Jeff, that's what I did long time ago, is I moved, I actually told Zoom, record here, which was not on my normal Mac OS data, Mac OS system drive, record on this separate drive. And then, it fills and fills. It's like my teenage daughter's room.
So what size would you recommend for the church?
If it doesn't, I personally would say a T5 from Samsung is overkill because it's a spendy drive because it's SSD. I'd rather go with an 8 gig spinning drive if it's just primarily for archive purposes, Then you get a ton more capacity for the money.
Agreed. I would agree with you, Jeff. The only reason I was just picking the T5s is I have a collection of those to use with my other devices.
Yeah. Yep. No, they're great drives. I just if I look at a 8 terabyte external.
I mean, if you go to Mac Sales, I'm sure they have a drive that fits very nicely underneath your M1.
Yeah, 8 terabyte drive is about $1.75, and then you can go down from there. But that's a ton of space.
175. We're talking about a church. They may not understand the reference.
Okay. Yeah, 175. $1.75 times 100.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Yep.
You bet. All right. Well, everybody, let's. I guess we'll call it a wrap. Good connecting. RJ, happy travels. I can't believe you're still sitting there on the ground this entire time. That's no good. Oh, there you go. Time to go. Cool.
They found the
All right.
pilot.
He had arrived. He was waiting to.
Yeah. They were taxiing and getting to the gate.
Oh, okay. I thought you were getting ready to leave, and they didn't have a pilot. They were waiting on the pilot to come down.
Very good. All right, everybody. Well,
Hey,
have
Jeff,
a great weekend.
I didn't get a chance to tell you that Wednesday night was 1 year of Conversation with Tony Mobley.
I heard that. Yeah, I even watched what it was George, right?
Yes, I had George on.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I got through about half of it before I had to go. But yeah, congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you
Thank you
bet.
for being on with me.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, that was when you were doing panels, and eventually I think you went to one-on-ones. Probably not too long after that, but yeah, great show. It's improved over time. I mean, to just being nicely polished, it's great. So good stuff. All right, you guys. Well, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
All right. See you later.